Dr. Ben Carson spent a career as a surgeon and then started another in politics, running for president and ultimately serving in the Trump administration. He also now serves on the board of directors of Sinclair Broadcast Group, our parent company. Today, he gives us his reflections on midterm issues and the possibility of a second Trump term.
There you see the temporal lobe.
Dr. Ben Carson spent an entire career as a neurosurgeon before entering politics. In 1987, he performed the first successful separation of twins attached to the back of the head. In 2015, after being publicly critical of President Obama and his policies, Carson announced his own run for president and was an early frontrunner. But his campaign fell behind, and in March 2016, he dropped out of the race, becoming a big supporter of Donald Trump. When Trump was elected, he named Carson Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. After serving 4 years in the Trump administration, are there any takeaways in terms of lessons learned for you?
The thing that perhaps was most impressive, not necessarily in a good way, is there's a reason it's called a swamp. It should be called a cesspool. There are so many people on Capitol Hill who are not interested in seeing people become self-sufficient. They want to keep people in a dependent position so they can control them and, more importantly, control their votes.
As we look forward to the midterm elections, what are some of your thoughts on burning issues and where we are?
Well, obviously, the thing that's on most people's mind is inflation. That's killing the average family. I heard a statistic this morning that 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And it's avoidable because, it all sort of circles back to the energy. And we were energy independent, next exporter of energy, cleanest air and water that we've had since we've been measuring, being able to use fossil fuels appropriately. I think the concept of renewable green energy is a very good concept, and I think that should be on our target list. But if we're smart, we use what we have to get what we want. We don't destroy what we have and then wish for what we want.
As we sit here, whether people like it or not, there's a decent chance President Trump will serve a second term. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think in terms of policy, effectiveness of execution, it's hard to come up with anybody who was more effective than he was. It would be wonderful if he kind of lets some things roll off his back, because they're going to continue to attack him because he doesn't fit in with the swamp creatures. And he's enemy number one for that reason. And he clearly was not ever going to play their game, so they don't like him. And that would be the case again, but perhaps because he wouldn't have to run again after that, it might be more possible for him to sort of let some things go and really just concentrate on the agenda.
If asked, would you be willing to serve again under a Trump administration?
Well, I would be reluctant, but I always considered it.
Reluctant for what reason?
Because when I was in the administration, it had an effect on my children in terms of the kinds of things they could get involved in. One of my sons is quite an entrepreneur, and oh boy, what a great opportunity, but I can't do it because my dad. So, I have to think about all these.
Like a conflict of interest that could appear to be, or when you say you had to worry about it?
It might not actually be a conflict of interest, but people would make such a big deal about it that it would have a deleterious effect.
As for whether he would run for president again, Carson, who's 71, replied, "He will always do what the Lord wants him to do, but he hopes that's not it."